Hello and welcome to the Reykjavík Grapevine's newscast. My name is Valur Grettisson. I'm the editor-in-chief at Reykjavík Grapevine. This dog there is Polly, of course. Hello. You want me to throw for you? Before we start, I want to tell you just one thing. Iceland Airwaves, our wonderful music festival, is not this weekend, but the weekend after. And it's brilliant. I always go to this, we always write about it. I will take my niece, Ruth Sigurðardóttir, with me this year. She has shot a lot of covers for us and so on. And she's a brilliant photographer. So if you go into the festival, you will probably find me there. Although not Polly, she's a little bit too young for festivals. But we have actually, because we are doing a lot of things with them, we have what we call the survival kit for airwaves. And this is a bag that we will not only, if you buy it, we will not only send it to you, to your hotel, we will also have brilliant stuff in this. Everything that you need to survive this festival. This, of course, is our best of Reykjavík, I think. Yes. If you're tired of thinking about like where to go to have something to eat or drink or whatever, this is your guide to everything. This is what we love. All of these places are brilliant, and we do a lot of work to find out what makes sense. Also, I think this is actually hilarious. I think this is like a rain poncho or something. I mean, probably not though. I haven't opened it, but it feels brilliant. This is also Polly's favorite food, as well as mine. This is lamb jerky. Surprisingly good, really good if you have hangovers. I can promise you that. And whatever this is, yeah, what is this? Jesus. Thunk. Dolls. Sure. This is also, yeah, I know what this is. This is brilliant. This is really tasty. This is from the ocean in Iceland. You can eat this, and it's like a little bit similar to the dried fish. Just much better and not as hard onto the tooth. What Boris here? Yes, and tea. We always need tea, right? I have a feeling that Josie and Gates actually have something to say about this. That's how it goes. Now, we're going to tell you a few news today. We're here in, this is between Valur and Iceland in Hafnarfjörður. And I'll tell you why in a moment we are here. So, on to it. So, we're going to start with sport news, of all things. As everybody knows, we really love sport. No, not really. But this one is about chess, so it's sport news technically, I guess. We have a Fischer random chess tournament that is happening in Reykjavík. And these days, and we're here to celebrate the most famous chess duel of all time. This is between Fischer and Spassky. It was in the 70s, 1972, and was, of course, an incredible duel. It changed Iceland a lot in many ways, because Iceland at this time was, well, not that very progressive as a nation. Not many knew about us, but we were, of course, between Europe and the US. And the Soviet Union, of course, sent their absolute best chess player, Spassky, at the time, and the Americans sent Bobby Fischer, and Iceland was supposed to be the neutral place where they could play this chess. And for a while, the eyes of the world was basically on Iceland, which was much more dramatic than you actually think. And Icelanders remember this very, very well, because we never got this international attention before. It was interesting also because of course, this was the Cold War, and the Soviet Union were always saying that the Americans were, well, stupid imbecile, and so on. And this was like a battle of the minds in so many ways, and even more dramatic for these reasons. And of course, Bobby Fischer won famously, because the man was, of course, absolute genius when it came to chess. He, of course, came to Iceland after being in prison in Japan for a while. He got Icelandic citizenship. This was very controversial at the time, of course, because he was obviously quite sick, like mentally ill, basically. Also, he was had a of very odd racial slurs when it comes to Jews and so on. So it was not the finest This was a story that ended very sadly, to be honest. But he died in Iceland in peace as he lived here. So he got like a few years, just in feeling secure. We hope, of course. But of course, we are celebrating this specific event, when it comes to this chess tournament. So, among the guests of the tournament is no other than the grandmaster and perhaps a sore loser, the Norwegian chess player Magnus Carlsen. Probably all of you know exactly who Magnus Carlsen is. He's a young Norwegian man. He's probably the best chess player of all time, in my opinion. Not perhaps better than Bobby Fischer, though, but you can't be sure. Perhaps we'll find out now. But he lost. He forfeited this chess game a few weeks ago against Hans Niemann. And this, of course, became old news because he kind of said, without saying, that Hans Niemann might have cheated. And how did he cheat? There were theories going on. One of these theories was of course, famously enough, that Hans Niemann had these anal beads in his ass. I don't know how this could work, but I mean, we have seen crazier things, I guess, when people are cheating. I don't know, but of course Hans Niemann says this is absolutely wrong and so on, so I mean. Who am I to judge yet? Perhaps there were anal beads, but not perhaps in that purpose. Other players that are at the tournament are the Iceslander Hjörvar Steinn Grettisson, also Mattias Blumbaum, Nodirbek, Abdusutarov, and Vladimir Fedovsev. Not the easiest name, but one of them is a Russian. Which is interesting also because we're again in Iceland, Russia and American playing perhaps, I don't know. But at least perhaps Europe and the Norwegian are not very fond of the Russians. And they are very alarmed, of course, because of how close we are to Russia actually. But it will be interesting to see. If you don't know what Fischer random is, though, it's incredibly interesting. I've played this many times, and I used to actually compete in chess myself when I was younger. I almost got the ELO points. I think I have to compete in one more tournament to get ELO points, but I'm not very high, to be honest. And I was playing the computer the other day. I used to be fine, but now I was playing like in mid-hard, or like in the middle. And I was getting absolutely crushed, so I'm getting very rusty, obviously. But the thing is that... but the thing is, of course, Fischer random is when you take all of the the chess pieces that are like human-like the knight, the bishop, the so on, and you randomize most of them. There are rules about this, but you don't randomize all of them. I think the king is somewhere. Okay, I don't remember, so I won't tell it. And the thing is that, of course, the pawns are at the same place. And this is this gives you the opportunity to play very original chess, to be honest, and it could be quite beautiful. So it's very exciting to see actually these incredible masters in chess playing, and to see how that will go perhaps. Daginn. Já, hún voða. So this, I have to say, you can see this probably live in many places. I watched this at the RÚV, our national broadcast, but I don't think that you can actually watch it from there. And also, it's all in Icelandic. But you can most definitely, if you like chess, find this in various places. And just to see Magnus Carlsen try this out, I mean, it's incredibly interesting, to be honest. This is a tough place to throw, Polly. Where do you want to go? Let's just walk a bit. Okay. Also, Magnus Carlsen, of course, he actually, his first incredible moment, like movie-like moment, was actually in Iceland. I think it was around 2003 or something. He was 13 years old, and he was playing in this chess tournament in Iceland. And keep in mind, Icelanders are very interested in chess. We've been since, this is one of the consequences of this tournament between Spassky and Fischer at the time. So this has been a very strong culture in Iceland. We often have like pretty great tournaments in Iceland. And one of them was when Magnus Carlsen came here, 13 years old, and Garry Kasparov. Then I think he might have been a grand champion, grandmaster, but I'm not sure. But he was like shortly after, if he wasn't. Just Google that, of course. I'm doing this by memory. But the thing is that they sat down, they played this game, and Magnus Carlsen was doing incredibly well against the master. So well, actually, that it looked like he was going to beat him. And the moment, I remember even, I was like 23 years old at the time, I remember when like the news actually just broke out, like while they were playing, like there was this kid actually crushing Garry Kasparov, and the Icelanders all went to the computers or the TV or whatever. And they were like, "What? A 13-year-old kid doing this?" And this is the moment before perhaps the world saw it, that Icelanders saw that this guy, Magnus Carlsen, was probably an absolute genius when it came to chess. He's in Iceland now, of course. He's going to be in an interview tonight at RÚV, our national broadcast. It's going to be interesting to see if he's going to answer any questions about this alleged cheating of Hans Niemann. But let's see how that goes. So it's interesting. Also, the winner of this random fissure will get 60 million Icelandic krona. This will be around $400,000. I think similar in euros, probably like £2 or something like that. Okay, bad joke. Sorry about that. But congratulations with your brilliant politics. You are the new weirdos in politics in the world now. Congratulations. The Americans are probably very thankful for that. Anyways, why are we here though? This is an area I like more and more. Let's just say that. I wasn't a fan. I'm quite the old school Hafnarfjörður, like we call it. When you're raised in Hafnarfjörður in the 80s, we have a very strong feeling for our town. You probably noticed this. So. This area here is quite new, and I'll explain it a little bit in our extra stuff. But this area here is basically close to Valur. This is where the school is, where the student that was bullied, and I told you about in the last newscast, was attending to. Now, things are becoming more clearer. First of all, the young girl that was bullied has been getting a lot of support from the society, obviously. Not only that, there was a company, unnamed, in Hafnarfjörður that actually gave her a trip to Florida in the US, which was quite nice, to be honest. She has some family there, and also just Florida is Disneyland or whatever, I don't know. Never been to Florida, to be honest. Sounds like a great place. But she's going there, and also just in the comment section and so on in the news, people are like, the people that are like have some saying in the discussion. They like a lot of people have been coming out with good points and a lot of support for the girl. So adults have been asked to show some restraint, basically because, especially on social media. Because if you also just in conversation with children and so on, the reason is obviously because we are not perhaps the best role models here when it comes to online bullying, because it seems like that is more or less what this was. That's like where like 90% of the violence is happening. But we also saw a video of a girl beating this victim up in a mall, but she is not in the same school as the girl. Which, like, we're seeing that this bullying is, I saw, like, a lot of correction in the last. I always say bullyism. I guess it's bullying. Can't ever be sure, but just bear with me. It's my second language and all. But the thing is, of course, the girl, like, she's a lot on TikTok. A lot of kids are on TikTok. A lot of this violence is happening there, and of course in some other social medias. This means that the bullying is not only in the one school, and this is what, like, Icelanders have been portraying it, like the school is somehow bad or something like that. But the girl hasn't even been in the school from the beginning of the winter, or since the school started. Of course, also because of bullying, she was afraid of being bullied in the school and so on. Of course, they are taking this incredibly seriously. They say they can't say anything about the case itself, of course, because these are children. These are, like, very delicate situation. But it's obvious that they have an interesting task on their hands, which is not only to get to the bully and stop it in their own school. They have to go to, like, 1, 2, or 3 other schools where the bullying is also. It shows us, like, they have the same problems in many ways as, like, when people, like gay people or trans people or whoever, are being, like, harassed online by, like, wherever in the world, you know. It seems often impossible to, like, get around it, but it's going to be interesting. But the school itself is in connection with, of course, the authorities in the town itself, Hafnarfjörður, which oversees the schools in this town. It's not like a government. They get money from the government, of course, not that much though. But they are running the schools, the town itself. We can only hope that the solution will be beneficial to everyone also. Just keep in mind, those, if you're watching this and you live in Iceland, that I mean, all of us know these bully cases. We've been in schools, we've seen this ourselves, most of us. The unlucky ones have actually been in these footsteps. And I've seen on social media this has been very hard for many of them, which is actually quite bad. But at the same time, I think it could be beneficial for the discussion in Iceland just to, like, think about solutions when it comes to this. Like, do not punish the victim by moving him to another school unless it's beneficial for him. Do not punish the doers either without thinking about it. Like, what are their situation and so on. These can be very complicated cases, and it will be interesting to see how they would solve this. Bullyism in Iceland is a thing. There have been, like, associations in Iceland have claimed that these numbers are fairly high. They are saying that the 20% of pupils are being bullied in schools. I think it's too high, but this is from, like, a question. Like, the kids get questions, the answers, and this is how they feel. So it might be right, might be like, what is bullying and so on. For example, teachers have been saying that also just the concept of being bullied is also very becoming, like, there are rules about what that is. And so it's not always like how we perceive it. But this case definitely is, of course. So I don't know how that's going to be, but it's a hard case, and it really saddens me to see this case in my hometown, Hafnarfjörður, of course. Can only, like, but in a way, it's like, it's once again we can see when you put a light on the violence, it stops immediately, and all of those that are responsible are very ashamed. So that's the good news. The media actually did the right thing here. Have done this, in my opinion, like, in a good way. They're trying to take this debate a little bit further. This is not about the school, the kids, and so on. And then, of course, there are other schools in Hraunvallaskóli, which is a school and has been named to the media. And they can be proud of their school. I think that everybody's doing their best there, of course, although this happens. But they cannot be cannot blame the victim, although that tends to be a thing that many do, not only in bullying cases, but whatever violence you can see. It's often reflected to the victim. So let's stop talking about violence and look at this beautiful place here, pond. I'm going to show you a little bit more after this in the extra. You can go, of course, if you remember, into that section, see it. I also have to throw a little bit more for Polly, as you know. I always have to do it. But thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you can, and also remember, of course, our shop. And if you come into Iceland to go to Airwaves, then we have this survival kit. If you just need a survival kit, that would also just work out in your life, I guess, in general. At least try it out. So, until next time, goodbye.